Know that you literally worked on this album while you were doing the Eras tour, which is mind-boggling. I think to everybody who hears it, that you were doing this like a seminal tour and also like working on this. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So like my question is, when do you, is it harder when you know there's a snake in the house?
I actually sleep a lot and I sleep often. It's just that I don't do anything other than this when I'm not asleep. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not, I don't have a lot of other things.
Female gaze. And in no way was I running them through the, my male brain. As much as I can try to see the world as a woman, I never will be able to. And I know what I don't know. So early on, we brought on an intimacy coordinator, and I started meeting with her to figure out what are ways that I can shoot this. How can this always reflect back, one, to the source material, and while we might not be recreating exactly what was in the book, how can we recreate the feeling? So difficult being a director in some instances, because so often the vision of the film is just in my head, and it's my job to try to figure out how to get everybody on board to have this shared vision. And so sometimes during this process, as I'm playing Ryle or as I'm directing, there's just times when maybe words get stuck and I don't get it out the way that I want to, or we're running out of time, and there's always challenges. Every movie is a miracle.
Blake Lively be out here running around, trying to latch onto folks and ride they shine for clout. Let's be real. Her ties with those A-list celebs the only reason she's still poppin', cause her career ain't been all that fire lately. Sis done had flop after flop at the box office. She just stumbled her way into It Ends With Us, took over that movie like it was hers, almost wrecked the whole thing. And it still made bank, but not cause of her. That was all Colleen Hoover's fans going crazy for the book. And lately, she been busy, allegedly through her PR folks like Leslie Sloan, pushing this little fairy tale about maybe making up with Taylor Swift. So when Taylor dropped her new album, folks were out here speculating like, oh, that bracelet? Must be a secret shout out to Blake. Chilly, the reach-in was Olympic level, and Blake out here rocking that Lorraine Schwartz bracelet too. So folks started hollering, oh, they must still be besties. Like, baby, calm down. Just because they both got some sparkle don't mean they textin' every night. Then you got people dissecting Taylor's 2024 lyrics, songs written before that fallout, trying to prove they still cool. Meanwhile, Dumois, the same gossip page repped by WME, same agency as Blake and Ryan, started whispering that Taylor and Blake had some secret meetup, like they was running a spy mission. Next thing you know, folks claiming Blake got that exclusive invite to the album release party, only for it to get shut all the way down when Sis never showed up. Whole story went from they besties again to, nah, she wasn't even on the list. Folks been out here connecting dots like it's a crime scene, talking about this whole Blake and Taylor fell out thing was just a setup, a PR stunt to keep Taylor clear from that messy drama Blake stays swimming in. Like, they really think these two just pretended not to be friends so Taylor don't catch no stray smoke? And honestly, ain't too far-fetched for Hollywood, baby. This the land of smoke, mirrors, and made-up fairy tales. They've been fabricating relationships since way back. When it wasn't cool for a leading man to be gay, them PR folks would hook him up in what they called a lavender marriage, just to make him look straight for the cameras. And that ain't all. They still be pairing up rising stars just to double the buzz. Two up-and-comers together. That's a whole PR power play, honey, and you already know how them relationships go. They burn bright for a hot minute, then poof, crash and burn like a bad sequel. So the internet stays speculating, saying, oh, this all fake anyway. And now folks twisting Taylor's lyrics, like when she said, did you girl boss too close to the sun? Or that line about cancelin' friends, talking about, see, that's proof she's still cool with Blake. Baby, please, I wasn't buying none of that noise. I even said last week, till I see an actual picture of them together, I ain't believin' Jack. And I just knew Taylor's camp was gonna clap back soon, like T-Pain dropping some anonymous lil exclusive through Daily Mail or Page 6 to shut it down. How I know that? 'Cause back in the day, I was still hearing all the tea straight from Mr. Bazooka over at the Daily Mail. You remember that one messy journalist who just had to insert himself right in the middle of all this drama? Yeah, him. He the one who dropped those text receipts between him and Leslie Sloan. And baby, those messages had Leslie straight up spoon-feeding Justin's words to the tabloids. He told me point blank that Taylor's own rep said the friendship was done. Like, Blake is dead to her. No sugarcoatin', no maybe later, just done. Taylor and Blake, never ever getting back together, period. Then he pulled out screenshots of his convos with Tree. Tree Payne herself. And Chili, it was clear a whole lot of those sources say stories James was dropping about Taylor and Blake. They was coming straight from Tree's mouth. And Tree's message was loud and clear. Miss Swift felt played, felt used for clout, and she was not about to spin that block for Blake ever again. It's wild how folks just refuse to accept that this friendship flat out done. Like, baby, it's over, but people still out here acting like Blake and Taylor just taking a bestie break. And of course, Blake's team stays stirring the pot, dropping little hints and whispers to keep folks guessing. But now page 6 slid through today like, let's set the record straight. Taylor ain't had no contact with Blake since that whole Justin lawsuit mess popped off. None. Zip. Nada. And let's keep it a buck. Folks been hyping this friendship like Blake was Taylor's one and only BFF. Please, Miss Swift got a squad of besties, okay? Gigi Hadid, Cara Delevingne, Selena Gomez. And don't forget, Selena been riding with Taylor way longer than Blake ever did. Blake was a chapter, but Selena? That's the whole damn novel. Blake really tried to play y'all like a fiddle by claiming Taylor's the godmother to her kids. Girl, please, that's pure smoke. 'Cause didn't Blake also say her sister was the godmother? And then she turned around talking about the sisterhood of the traveling pants ladies were too? Like, baby, how many godmamas these kids got? A whole congregation? And let's be real, Blake and Ryan don't even go to church like that. Ryan grew up Catholic, sure, but for real Catholics, your godparents gotta be Catholic too. And that only counts if the baby actually got baptized in the church. Which, come on now, ain't no baptism happening there. Blake grew up Baptist, but neither of them out here practicing, so yeah, it's given fake. Sis probably just threw Taylor's name in the mix to make her feel extra special, like, see girl, we family, when really it was just another PR play. And let's not forget, Blake made Taylor a godmother after knowing her for what, less than a year? Girl, that's some stage 5 clinger energy right there. That should have been Taylor's first red flag that Blake was trying to ride that Swiftie wave for clout. But honestly, Taylor ain't always got the best radar for messy people. Her whole business stay run by family, and they keep her tucked up in that little bubble where she don't always catch the shade until it's too late. No hate though. Sis just too nice sometimes. So yeah, the bad blood's still flowing. Meanwhile, Instagram gossip page Scuttlebutt, or Dumois, whatever they call themselves, been out here claiming Taylor and Blake had this low-key reunion after all that it ends with us lawsuit drama. But page 6 slid in like, nah baby, that ain't it. And Chili, can we talk about that name? Scuttlebutt? Sound like an insult and a rumor mill had a baby. Oh yeah, baby, Scuttlebutt just means gossip, and Uma stay living up to that name. That account been pushing Blake's PR agenda for ages, like her own personal hype machine. Same folks who once claimed Justin confessed to all that mess, talking about everyone would be shocked if they knew what's really going down. Please. Anyway, the real tea? Sources say Taylor and Blake ain't had no contact. None. Since way back last winter when that legal chaos started spilling out, probably around January. And remember February? Super Bowl season, when Blake was trying to get Taylor to show her some love online, and Taylor straight up said nope? Another insider backed it up, said the ex-besties haven't spoken or seen each other, but of course they got all vague with the details. And tell me that don't sound like Leslie Sloan all over it, trying to keep it mysterious. Even page 6 had to point out, Blake and Taylor ain't been spotted together publicly since October 2024. Translation? That friendship been packed up and shipped out. Everything hit the fan when that Baldoni lawsuit dropped. The one that's since been tossed out, where he straight up accused Blake of weaponizing her friendship with Taylor. And baby, them leaked texts. Phew. Blake out here calling Ryan and Taylor her dragons, like she running a whole fairy tale army. But the gag is, those messages showed she was pulling strings, hitting up Taylor about her music, but only if she got a piece of that film pie or control over the trailer. Then came the claim that Taylor was at some fancy penthouse meeting about the rooftop scene, and that's when things went left. Word is Taylor started feeling real used, like Blake was dragging her name into mess she ain't sign up for. Taylor's all about real, loyal friendships, so this whole stunt cut deep. And by August, another insider spilled that Miss Swift was done, forever heated that Blake been out here using her name for clout instead of keeping it 100.
And this is all Blake. Like I said, Blake was involved in all aspects of this production, and she is also a marketing genius. Her and Ryan together are something else. But this was all Blake, and she knew that the song would work, and she got Taylor to do it, and I was just nothing to do with it. I was just so grateful that Taylor agreed. And
Dream team. The soundtrack is amazing, like 10 out of 10.
Blake Lively, she runs around and tries to attach herself and use people for clout. And her connections to A-list stars are the reason why she still has relevance, even though she hasn't really been super phenomenally successful. She had a lot of box office bombs. She accidentally tripped into it, Ends With Us, hijacked a movie, almost completely destroyed it. And that it still managed to have a really big box office, not because of anything she did, but because the book sold 10 million copies and had a rabid fan base, a la Colleen Hoover. But she has also been spending a lot of time, either through sources allegedly, like Leslie Sloan or her representatives, really trying to continue this narrative publicly that there's some sort of possible reconciliation between her and Taylor Swift. Now, when Taylor Swift's new album was released, there was a lot of speculation that Taylor was doing these little Easter eggs to Blake because of a bracelet. And Blake had a bracelet like that, Lorraine Schwartz. And so therefore they must be friends or lyrics from a song written in 2024 before they stopped being friends and cancelled, somehow proving that she and Blake are still friends. Rumours put out by Dumois, who is repped by WME, by the way, and has the same agency as Blake and Ryan, suggesting that Taylor and Blake had a secret meetup recently. And now they're friends again, and they're just hiding from, their secret meeting. There was even rumours that Blake was invited to the album release party, which was therefore and then debunked, because she literally was not there. There has been so many people trying to connect the dots that this whole conspiracy that Blake and Taylor weren't friends was actually just a ruse to get Taylor distanced from this issue of this PR nightmare and to just, pretend like they weren't friends so that they could just, get Taylor out of the fray. Now, smoke and mirrors isn't a huge thing that's not outside the realm of possibility when it comes to Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood has this weird thing where they will actually fabricate relationships. They've done things like back when it wasn't acceptable for a leading man to be gay, they would set people up in the PR marriages, right? PR agents would have the guy marry a woman, which it would be called like a lavender marriage. It was just a way to make him look straight when he wasn't. Hollywood has also done things like hooked up stars that are two really up-and-comers because combined efforts gives them more power, and then the relationship only hangs on for a short period of time, and then it bursts into flames. So there is always speculation online that, well, all of this must be fake, and clearly because Taylor said, "Did you, girl boss, too close to the sun?" and because Taylor said she likes her friends cancelled, therefore she must be friends with Blake. I was not going to buy into any of it. I said last week until I saw a photograph of them together, I don't believe it. And I suspected there would be some sort of response from Taylor Swift's sources, i.e. T-Pain releasing something anonymously, either through Daily Mail or through Page 6 or whoever they talked to, that this wasn't true. Why do I think that? Because back when I was still getting information from Mr. Vasica from Daily Mail, remember the long fledgling journalist that placed himself in the middle of this dispute, handed over text messages between him and Leslie Sloan, which showed Leslie basically mirroring Justin to the tabloids. He flat out told me that Taylor's representative said that their relationship is done. Blake is dead to her. She will never be friends with Taylor again. Taylor will never be friends with Blake again. He showed me screen grabs of his conversations with Tree. It appeared that a lot of the stories that were getting published by James between that period of time, when he was still reporting about Taylor and Blake, was coming directly from Tree. And Tree's narrative was that Blake and Taylor were not friends, that Miss Swift felt that she had been exploited and used for clout, and that she was never, ever getting back together with Blake. It's strange that the public cannot accept that this friendship is over. They somehow think it's not. And I guess it doesn't help that Blake's side continues to fuel speculation that they have reconciled. But Page 6 today is now reconfirming that Taylor Swift has had no contact with former bestie Blake Lively since Justin's lawsuit drama. Now, I want to be clear about something. There's been a lot of overhype of this friendship, where they call it like this is Taylor's exclusive bestie, and Taylor Swift has a lot of friends. And she has besties like Gigi Hadid. She has besties like Cara Levine. She has besties like Selena Gomez. She has a lot of besties. And Selena and her have been friends much longer than she has with Blake. Blake just attempted to confuse all of you by making Taylor the godmother to her children, which is ridiculous because Taylor Blake has also said that her sister is the godmother. She has also said that the traveling pants ladies are the godmothers. Like, literally, these kids have more godmothers than anyone I've ever seen. And by the way, Blake and Ryan don't go to church. Ryan grew up Catholic, okay? And if they have godchildren, the godparent also has to be Catholic. If they got baptized and they were in the Catholic Church. So at least when I was growing up, that's how it was. So it's highly doubtful they were baptized in the Catholic Church. Blake grew up, I think, Baptist, but neither one of them are active in church. So it's highly improbable that any sort of baptism ever occurred. So just remember that it was all fake. She probably put this on Taylor as a way to make Taylor feel like she was more connected and more, close to her than she was. And by the way, Blake made Taylor a godmother after knowing her for less than a year. That's like stage 5 clinger behavior. And it should have been the first warning sign to Taylor that Blake was using her for clout. But again, I don't always think that Taylor has the best pickers because her business is run by her family. She's got a lot of people that control everything that goes on in her life. She's been sheltered and lives in a bubble where, she's just not always making the best decisions. It's no hate on Taylor, okay? So Blake and Taylor still have bad blood. It says, Instagram's scuttlebutt account, Dumas, reported this week that the former friends, whose relationship was marred amid fallout from Lively's legal drama with Ends with US director, had a low-key reunion. Page 6. Here's otherwise scuttlebutt. Is that an insult? Oh, it's a gossip means gossip account. Uma has, for the most part, been putting out propaganda for Blake for a long time. This is the same account that once said that, Justin had admitted to all of these things that he had done. And behind the scenes, everyone would be shocked by what is going on. The source says they have had no contact. They haven't spoken since last winter when the drama surrounding the case began unfolding, which is likely around January. Yeah. And then remember the February issue with the Super Bowl, and Blake wanted her to put out support for her, and she refused. Another source confirmed that the former BFFs have not spoken or seen each other, but did not elaborate on a timeline. I feel like that source is Leslie Sloan, like she's going to be vague. Page 6 points out that they have not been seen together publicly. They haven't been seen publicly since October of 2024. Everything blew up because of the lawsuit that Baldoni filed, which has now been dismissed, where he claimed Lively weaponized her friendship with Swift, and text messages were released with Lively famously referring to her husband, Ryan, and Swift as her dragons. And at the time, all of this stuff was coming out, right? Where Blake was saying that, her best friend is like her dragon, and she weaponized contacting Taylor about using her music unless she got a cut of the film, unless she could use, do whatever she wanted with the trailer. And they also claimed that Miss Swift was at a meeting at the Penthouse regarding the rooftop scene. And all of that apparently made Taylor feel used. Taylor wishes Blake hadn't dragged her into this whole situation. They have been friends for years, and Taylor cherishes genuine friendships, but can't help but feel used at this point. And then a separate source in August said that Swift will be forever furious at how Blake quite clearly was using her for clout.
Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. If you're feeling the vibe, hit that like button. And if you're new to the fam, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we drop the latest and greatest. Thanks for tuning in.